Welcome, one and all. This is Real Talk Jamaica, where no topic is off limits. Thank you for joining us on your favorite talk show. We have so much in store for you today. So don't move a muscle, joint, or tendon. You hear what I say? We'll be right back. We're here to talk about phobias and anxieties. Based on psychological today, the most commonly expressed emotional response to the mental ill and mental illness was fear, often specifically a fear of dangerousness. This often leads to avoidance, rejection, and even victimization. Wow. On this episode of Talkie Talk, I have with me Abigail and Britannia. Hi, guys.
Hi.
How are you?
I'm okay.
I'm good.
Well, you do look good, I must
Thank
say.
you.
Thank you. So, before we jump into it, we just want to slide into this topic because it's kind of a sensitive topic. So, what's your take on phobia and anxiety?
Okay, I personally feel like phobias and anxiety are just trauma responses, whereas a person has been through something traumatic, a traumatic event, and it develops as a way out of fear because traumatic events can be very traumatic
Right.
and they last. Sometimes they're really hard to get out of. So I really just feel like that's where they derive from, basically.
I agree. How about you, Britannia?
Well, I do mostly agree with what you're saying, because when I think about phobias, I think about like a crippling fear that someone would have probably developed from whatever experience that they have had, and anxiety is kind of like brushing the surface of it. In my opinion, it's like an extreme worriness about whether a fear or just like a concept, you know.
And you're more both of you are saying that this is coming from like an experience somebody has,
Yeah.
right? And I totally agree with you guys, but with phobia and anxiety, I as you said before, phobia is like, yes, it is very serious. You have developed this and it's coming from some previous experience. For example, I have a girlfriend, she had phobia of balloons, and some persons will say balloons, but yeah, she had a traumatic experience with balloons. So hence you cannot have balloons around her, none at all. So even when she was having her son's birthday party, no balloons were allowed, and she made sure she told the guests to do not bring any balloons at all. So people would think that, yeah, balloon, but yes, the experience that she had with it caused her to have that phobia of balloons. So my next question is, what is your experience with anxiety and or phobia?
Okay, so I've struggled with mental illnesses for most of my life, but I never really developed anxiety until late last year. And I think it really started from my mom because my mom was diagnosed with breast cancer back in last year. Not last year, back in 2021.
Okay.
And I had to watch her go through that while also sitting my CSEC exams. And I was kind of her main caregiver because my dad was away trying to make money to be able to fund the treatment. So it was a lot of pressures on me at once, and having to watch her go through those hard days of chemotherapy and the surgeries and all of that, it really dented some trauma inside of me. And because of that, I developed health anxiety, whereas I'll feel a lump somewhere and immediately I am scared and I go straight to Google and then Google tells me I have cancer and anxiety attack. I will have the common flu and I am at the doctor as quick as possible because I am very scared of developing any type of illnesses. I'll have other anxiety attacks.
Right.
If I am reminded of something traumatic. I've had my fair share of sexual assaults and sexual harassment. So if I go to the place where it happened, or I hear something, or I see something that reminds me, I might have an anxiety attack.
I want to break a while, and we just go back to you. You said that your mother
Yeah.
had been diagnosed,
Yeah.
and at the time you were going through CXCs,
Yeah.
junior exams. Um, what I want to bring out is that you personally was not experiencing cancer,
Mm-hmm.
but because of you seeing your loved one
Yeah.
experience it, it brought on an anxiety.
Yeah, a lot actually, a lot, and I think it also had to do with around the time I was just coming to admit and acknowledge and realize the fact that I did go through sexual assault,
Mm-hmm.
because I was very much in a big denial stage for the most part. So with having to finally acknowledging it and then having to watch my mom go through that and doing exams, it was a lot at once.
It seems like it was a lot, Abigail. And the mere fact that you were just coming to grips with the fact that, yes, I went through something, and then there
And
was a
then my mom
bomb,
was
there was
cancer.
another
Yeah.
thing for you to be going through.
Mhm.
But you're a mighty strong young woman,
Thank
man.
you. Thank you.
So I'm going to break right here with you, but I'm going to come back because there's something else I want to ask you. I want to just up on over to Brittany and ask her the same question.
Well, I don't think I would have any phobias because that's a bit extreme for me. But as it relates to anxiety, I know that there is a lot of pressure for me as it relates to being in the spotlight. Because growing up, my family members learned that I could sing and I could dance. As a child, you never really thought much of it. But the older I got, the more I realized that there was a high expectation placed on me.
Okay.
So, everybody loved how I sounded and how I danced, but I just felt like if I messed up, it's the end of the world. So sometimes I'm on the stage and I have to be calming myself down, and like my heart is pacing and I'm like, Jesus Christ. Sometimes I'm in the middle of a song and I'm ready to walk off the stage. But I guess I have something called perseverance, but that's one thing. And the other thing would be as it relates to my illness, my health. So before, I was kind of used to the whole doctor thing, hospital thing, getting sick and everything. But now, more recently, I started to realize that there's a big problem when I get sick now. Like, as soon as I feel like a pain somewhere, I feel like I'm going to hyperventilate. Like, if I think about it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, I'm going back to the hospital again. Like, I don't know what to do. I've actually been diagnosed with anxiety wrongfully because that wasn't the case. It's just that because I was just so worried about what could happen, I just kind of like started having panic attacks very easily. So, yeah.
You know what I want to ask you, Brittany, if you don't mind sharing your illness?
Yeah, sure. I have sickle cell anemia and asthma. So I grew up with a very rough
So you
lifestyle.
are very active. You were very active when growing up, active in the hospital, you're saying?
Yeah, I'm not the SS type, which is more critical. I'm SC, but it still had a big impact in my life. So for any little thing, as a sickle cell patient, you're more prone to get like infections. So I was always in the hospital for minor stuff like a flu that turned into something like pneumonia. I've got it twice. I've experienced like dengue twice, and just certain little things that would just turn into big things. And now the biggest thing of all is my period. So like, I don't know how my illness kind of affects my menstrual flow. I'm kind of learning that it's something about my hemoglobin being a little bit too low. And so as a result, I come like man of blood in me. Like there's nothing. So that's the biggest thing that I'm going through right now. I'm just kind of praying that like I kind of get through it smoothly, especially the school year, because I also realize that I have a fear of failure. And I feel like, if one thing gets in my school way, I'm just going to want to drop out because I feel like I cannot do it at all. And I don't want to see the F1 on my transcript at all. So,
you know what, I'm going to go back to you saying earlier that your parents and other family members found out that you had a talent, you had several talents, and you think that from from they knowing that you have this talent, that you were trying to live up to an expectation, you did not want to fail them, or was it that you did not want to fail yourself? So hence the anxiety attacks developed.
I think it's more like a little bit of everything. I didn't want to fail myself, obviously.
Right.
And then some of the things I was doing for God. Most of the things I was doing for God. So I definitely did not want to fail Him. I didn't want to fail the church, my mom, especially because, she saw that I had there's a piece of her inside of me. And as soon as she saw it, she was like, oh my God, everybody should see this.
So do you feel that that was additional pressure?
Yeah, a lot of pressure actually, because I don't see a lot of my other family members being pushed into the spotlight like how I was. Like my
Okay.
sister probably got a little bit, but for the most part, I was singing, I was dancing, and then I started drawing more and doing fashion designing. So everybody just wanted to just see Britannia and see what she can do. Especially even now, if I go on the road and if I dare say that I can sing, the first thing they're going to be like, sing a song for me now.
Yes, because maybe that's what I'm going to ask you before it goes off. So bear it in your mind, have it in the back of your head. Say, Quanna might ask you to sing a song and just have one ready while we're talking. All right.
Good.
But young ladies, you are so strong, young ladies, to be
Thank
going
you.
through these stuff, and you have a smile on your face. Even you, Britannia, you're talking about your illness, and yes, you are like bubbly laughing and saying, "Oh, my period," and so that's a good sign that even though you're going through all these challenges, you have a smile on your face, you are making light of the situation, which most persons will not do or would not do. How have you reached this point to make light of this situation?
It might sound a bit depressing, but I think I'm a tolerable person. So I've gone through a lot in different phases of my life. And when you just keep on going through the same things over and over, probably the same thing but different scenario over and over, you kind of just get numb to it after a while. And then you also know that, you have God at the end of the day. And to be very honest, even though I know I have God, I still know that I'm going to go through these experiences with I'm going to cry myself to sleep most of the time. I'm still going to feel depressed a lot of the time. I'm still not going to want to do anything, or I'm still going to want to stay to myself. But I have that, knowledge that I'm going to have to go through this just to get to the better part. Yeah.
Very good. Abigail, so I'm going to jump back to you again now. So we were talking about you and your mother, the situation that was going on with you and your mother, your mother being diagnosed with cancer. You mentioned, and I did not want to bring it up, but I am going to. If you feel uncomfortable in any way not to answer, feel free. You mentioned that you were sexually assaulted. Do you want to shed some light on that?
Yeah, sure. As I said, I've had my fair share of sexual harassment and assault. Um, but I feel like that was the biggest one, and I had some really other big ones after that one. That happened in 2020 on my 18th birthday. It was with a person that I was dating at the time. It was very traumatic because it happened and I felt as though it was kind of my fault in a sense, and I struggled with that for a while. I think I still struggle with it sometimes. Not only because I think it's my fault, but it's because people around me also give that impression that I put myself in that situation for that to happen to me. It was really hard to fathom that somebody I cared about and loved so much would actually do that to me. And it was also hard because when I finally did open up about it, After going through months of being so confused because I knew that something happened, but I could not pinpoint what it was. I was so confused that I didn't know. I didn't have anybody to talk to at the time. It was just me and the one person that I did have in my life at the time. It was every time I spoke to her about it, it was it's sexual assault or it's not sexual assault. I don't really want to say the word because
Right.
people
Right.
get triggered and stuff like that. But
Yeah.
it was always one day it would be, oh yeah, he sexually assaulted you, or the next day it would be, he didn't do that. Stop telling lies. So I was just in a tug of war of should I open up about this? Should I say anything? Either way, it ended up coming out to the light, and that same friend and another friend that I had, which was the two closest friends that I had at the time, basically betrayed me. They called me a liar and a manipulator, and that I was lying about the whole situation. And it really hurt because I lost three important people to me at once,
One time. Right.
and I could not fathom that these people actually, even to this day, when I think about it, sometimes I cannot believe that these people that I loved and cared for so much actually did this to me. And it affected my life in every single way. It affected my relationships from then on. It affected how, not even just, it affected my friendships, even the friendships that I have now.
Right.
I am completely different. It affected how my relationship is with men because after that happened, I did not know what to do with myself. Firstly, it happened in December and I was having sexual intercourse with that guy in February right after. It was like an instant, I don't know what to do, it's all I know, so it's what I'm going to do. Because it was my first time actually. I never had any sexual experiences before that one. Um, and so I plummeted myself into sex and I just grew this huge want and addiction and need for it, even to this day. And sometimes it's embarrassing to talk about, but it was just how my mind reacted to the trauma. Um, and so even then, after that, my relationship with men was just, I did not want to get into anything serious or anything that would be deep. And I think that's another fear that I have. Um, Relationships for sure. Having to put myself back into that space to be vulnerable again because I opened up to that guy and I told him that my virginity was very important to me. And I didn't want it to be just something that was done just like that. And he knew because I talked to him about it a lot of times, and to think that even though you knew that it was so important to me, you decided to take it away from me was a lot. And I just did not want to be vulnerable with guys ever again. Ever again.
Abigail, have you ever thought about getting counseling or have you ever been counseled?
Yeah, I have. I dealing with that timeline after I did finally acknowledge the fact that it happened to me, which is in about July, August of 2021. Um, I didn't get therapy right away, but I also experienced some more sexual assault or sexual harassment down the line. And I feel like over time, in going into the mid summer of 2022, late 2022, it's like everything that I have been hiding in a box, it just burst open, and I couldn't control it anymore. I couldn't push it away. It was just like a flow of everything from my childhood coming up with grown men with me as a child, coming right down to that moment and back into the other sexual harassment experiences I had. It was just a full flow and it hit me like a truck. And I went down a very self-destructive path. And there was a point where I got to and I was like, I need to get help because if I keep going down this path, I'm not going to be here after a while.
And you realized that within yourself.
Actually, I knew that I needed help, but I actually got a push from a friend. She's actually going to be on the show today. She texted me one night and she was like, I wasn't eating because I also developed anorexia as well. I wasn't eating and she was like, Abigail, you need to get help. And I was like, I was pushing it off joking about it because that's what I always do, joke so I don't have to cry. But
Hold on 1 minute. So you were using comedy
yeah,
to cover your wounds.
I would always joke about it or laugh, even though I was very much hurting. But I guess I also didn't want to open up myself to my friends as well, seeing as though what my last friend did to me, because she was my first friend right after that experience. So I was just a very closed off person, a very closed off person. But she was like, "We gave me to eat," and she sent me a voice note of her crying and saying that she feels so helpless because she can't help me, and the only person that can really help me is myself. And I think it was a wake up call for me. Like, I'm not only hurting myself, I'm hurting the people around me, and I need to get help. So I went ahead. I went to therapy it was in October. I don't remember, somewhere around there. And I haven't been to therapy in a while, but there was a lot of diagnoses. A lot of diagnoses. Yeah, that's when I realized that I really do have anxiety, because I never thought I did before, until I went to therapy and she said to me, like, that's, and whatever, there was so many different ones. I can't even. But I'm working on it. I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
As I said before, you're a very strong young lady.
Thank you.
And you are going to get over this struggle. We know that. We know this. How about you, Brittany? Have you ever been counseled or been treated for your anxiety?
Well, I've been told by many of my friends that I should go, and I think the only person that is stopping me is myself. But I think it's because I don't think that it would help me. Because I have this thing where people don't really understand me that much. That's probably also my fault. But I feel like I've been to a lot of older people, like my mom. I would try to tell her about things that are happening, or I tried going to my pastor, and it just felt like it was just going through. Yeah. So I felt like it was just of no help. And I also do remember an incident in fourth form when I came to school really upset because I don't really have the best relationship with my dad, and we were arguing. Like, it was something stupid, to be very honest, but we were arguing from the night before come up to the morning of school, and I was dropped off and I was just there venting my friends. And because I had like asthma, the more I spoke, the more I realized, I was like, oh my god, I can't breathe, I started to cough a lot, and I tried to calm down myself, but by the first class I coughed a little bit more, and like the nurse came and she started to assess me, and she's like, this is not an asthma attack, this is a panic attack. So she said, I have to send you to the guidance counselor. And because I've been dealing with my father for years, I didn't feel like there's nobody that could really help me, because my father and I really just don't work at all, because he has his personality and he doesn't really believe in, listening to younger, voices. So she carried me to the guidance counselor, and I sat there for the entire session, which was an hour, and I didn't say anything. She was just there talking to me, and I was just staring, and I just didn't say anything. After a while, probably like to the end, she started typing. That kind of got to me because I am a writer. I love to write my thoughts. I love to write poems and songs. So, she started writing, and then she made the suggestion that I wrote a letter to my dad. I also tried that. And when I did the day, he didn't really acknowledge it at all. I also tried again later on in life over WhatsApp. Anytime I would send a paragraph, he'd either see it or he'd just disregard it and say something that is just out of pocket. So I just said, well, it's best I shut up, because nobody's trying to really hear what I'm saying.
So that's where you should close your door now, because you don't think you have anyone listening?
Yeah. I feel like the only person that can listen to me right now is God, and even sometimes I don't even go to God because I feel a little bit unworthy to go to him, because I know the answer, but I'm not really going to the answer. And then I would have my friends sometimes, but even them don't really understand, because people mostly can talk to you when they can relate. Because even if I go to counseling, I still would have to make that conscious decision to get over it, you know, and just listen to what I'm saying. It still all boils down to me, and a part of me don't I don't want to face a lot of what I've been through
Okay,
because
so that's
it's
so
a
that's
lot.
there's
Yeah,
Yeah,
there's it.
sometimes
Oh.
avoiding it
Mm-hmm.
is
yeah,
better because once you admit it, it becomes real.
yeah.
So you put up a mechanism of avoiding or putting a block
Distractions.
between you and what happened.
Yeah.
Abigail, I am going to pounce on you.
Okay.
And what I'm going to ask you, you had professional counseling,
Yeah.
right? And I'm going to let you use your experience of professional counseling to kind of motivate Brittany to get professional counseling.
I
So I
felt
want you to
like you at
turn
one
to her
point.
and just let her know. Because what you know what you said, why I'm asking this question? You said that most persons that you spoke to, they do not understand what you're going through. Now you have a young lady that's sitting right next to you. She has been through a lot, just like you. Maybe not similar stuff, but situations are almost the same. So she had professional counseling. So hearing from her point of view with professional counseling, let us see if it will motivate you to seek professional counseling. All right?
Okay.
Okay.
I felt like you at one point, Britannia. Growing up, I grew up in Grand Cayman, and if anybody knows Caymanians, they can be very colorist. And I'm a dark skinned girl. I felt very inferior to the girls that were lighter than me. Up to this day, I hate my hair and the texture of it. It is never out. I never wear it out. I could never do what you're doing right now.
It took a while.
um, and when I was in Grand Cayman, I really struggled with my self-image and the way I viewed myself. I had major body dysmorphia. Still do, but slowly getting over it. I hated everything about my skin color. I hated everything about myself. Genuinely, I had a hatred for myself. And I used to beg and plead to my mom to get me therapy because I knew I wasn't okay. I used to go to the bathroom and cry. I used to admire the girls with the long 3C hair and the brown skin and the green eyes, and I used to say, why can't I look like that? It was a big thing for me. And my mom finally realized that I needed help because I had to ask a couple of times, but she finally realized that I'm really not okay. I got help. I got to a therapist. Her name was Miss April. And Miss April was a really nice lady. She gave me a lot of tips and tricks that I could do. But prior to going to Miss April, I thought there was nobody that could understand me because I would talk to my mom and she would brush it off like it wasn't serious. Like me coming to her once was not enough for her to realize that something was wrong. I had to beg and plead and cry for her to actually move to get that. And even when I went through my sexual assault and I asked her, Mom, I needed therapy, I had to wait until I got a job to be able to bring myself to therapy because it was like she just never took it serious. She never did. And I felt as though I spoke to my mom and it was like nothing. Nobody's taking me serious. I spoke to friends and yeah, maybe friends are a bit better, but I still feel like they didn't get me.
It wasn't enough.
I thought that I was just, nobody could understand me until I went to Miss April. She made me know that sometimes talking to somebody that you have no connection with, talking to somebody that you have no type of relationship, no type of emotional connection at all, just a complete stranger that is educated in that line actually knows. Sometimes she finishes my sentences.
Yeah.
And even when I came to Jamaica here and I started going to my therapist here, Miss Campbell, it was the same thing. She made me realize things that I didn't even knew were affecting me because when I was younger, I used to live with my grandma. And my mom moved to Grand Cayman. And even though as a child I understood that she moved to make money for me and my sister, it still affected me because I would go to school and I would see the girls with their moms and I did not have my mom. I had to stand and look. And I would mention that and she said, you know that affects you, right? And I was like, no, but I understand why she did it. She says, yes, we understand, but she still wasn't there. And so sometimes there are so much things that are lying underneath that you don't even realize that is there. And with the help from those professionals, with those diagnoses, Hopefully it doesn't get to that line, but with the medication or whatever, it
Boy,
it can help.
very touchy about that medication part.
Yeah, I hope it doesn't get to that line because that's when it's really serious. But it helps.
Mhm.
It helps. I tried the medication line, did not like that. I stopped it
I don't think
immediately.
anybody would. Trust
stopped
me,
it
as a girl
immediately.
that is always on pills, it's not fun.
It made me feel so groggy.
Yeah.
I didn't like it. But yeah, you should get some help.
Yeah.
You should. It's not so like there's nothing wrong with you. And there are a lot of people that have experienced what you're experiencing.
Mhm.
You're not alone in this world. I may not have the same experiences as you, but I know there are 7 billion people in this world. There are people that have had experiences like you. And you can be able to relate. And the only way to move forward or to get over something is to face it, is to go through it. You can't go around it, you can't go behind it, you have to go through it. I know it's scary, but it's the only way to do it. There's no other way.
Yeah.
There's no other way.
You hear Brittany?
There's
Brittany,
no other
you
way.
heard
Yeah.
it's like
Loud
you're
and
hearing from
clear.
an expert here.
Yeah.
Loud and clear, right?
Yeah.
All right, my next question, guys. How is your support system now?
I really think my support system was really low up until my anorexia got really bad. Like the only I think my mom really doesn't understand the severity of things until it gets to the bad part where she's like, okay, something is really wrong. Because I think it started like in December 2021. I remember making a TikTok video, a private one, but I was saying about how people congratulate me when I eat, although I would say I don't have an appetite the whole day. I was hungry, but I would say that. And I realized that that was when it started. I didn't even realize up until late last year when my friends and my family, literally everybody around me, my parents, my friends, my coworkers were all like, Abby, why are you getting so slim? I dropped pounds in months. My collarbones were out here. I was very slim. I think I was weighing like 120. And I usually weigh like a 40 or 150. I was really
Right.
slim.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think that's when my mom, I remember and then she came to me and she was like, Abigail, you need to eat. And she started getting emotional. And she was like, you don't look okay. You're not okay. You need to eat. And I think that's when I started going to therapy as well. Ever since she realized the severity of my anorexia, I think she realized that like really and truly was not okay. And the support from her became better. She would now ask me, how was that therapy session or how are you feeling today? How did today go? Or how was your week or stuff like that. I always had the support of my friends. Always. But with having that support system of my parents, it made me feel better that she could finally see. I felt like she didn't really see me when it came on to my mental health. So it felt nice to finally have her see
Have
that.
finally have that support.
Yeah.
Because maybe that's the support you really,
That I
really
needed.
wanted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about you, Britannia?
Um, the support now, I don't think it's the best, to be very honest, because a lot happened last year. I lost a couple of my friends, and just, when you're going through that phase where you're losing people in your life, yeah. And then with the whole health thing, my stepfather told me something that really sat with me last year. He has diabetes, right? So we both relate as we come on to like the health part. He said, Britannia, it sounds bad, but nobody cares that much if you're sick. And it's true when you sit down and think about it, like, they don't really care that much. And it's when he started saying that, I started to realize that people really don't get it. They really don't get it. When I would say that I'm not feeling the best today, they think I'm pulling either a sick card or I'm just being miserable. And it was kind of like hurtful because I was going through real stuff. And I just felt like, when you're closed in a room and you're trying to bang on a door and there's nobody to open it for you. That's how I was feeling for the most part of my life. I have like 3 friends, a very small well, not three, I'm being exaggerated, but I have like a very small friend group, and they're not really all that closely situated. So now it's just like my one friend, Jamaica, or a friend from abroad, or my other childhood best friend. Like, really isn't that much. And here and there my stepfather, but I don't even see my stepfather that much because I don't live with my mom. I'm mostly situated with my dad, and being with my dad kind of really cripples me and forces me to be in a box because, when you just don't have that good relationship, you
That you
just feel like you should
mentioned,
just
yes.
shut up and
Yeah.
just to make everything better, just keep to yourself,
Mm-hmm.
So
I get it 100%. That's me with my dad as well.
Yeah.
Real dad. My stepdad is such a sweetheart.
same.
I love my real
There's
dad
so
as
much
well.
things you have in common with each other.
I love my biological dad, and I always love my dad. But whenever I'm not around my dad, I'm quiet and I'm reserved
Yeah,
because I feel like if I speak, there will always be a problem.
there's always an
I don't have the
argument and
best
a
relationship
fight.
with my dad either. To be honest, my father is such a touchy topic.
Same.
It's like, when you have fathers that are present yet absent.
Yes.
My father is in my life and he provides for me financially, and I love my dad from to the moon and back. But he's just not there. My dad doesn't know my favorite food. My dad doesn't know I think
It
he
does not
only
know
knows
you.
my age and my name.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't know me as his daughter, and he's never put out that effort to try to know me, and it hurts because I feel like if he wasn't here, then I would understand. But just the fact that he is alive and well and he's present and he's still not putting out that effort, it's like,
You're not trying.
am I not here? Do I
You don't
not
mean that much.
anything?
Yeah.
You see, all that we've been talking about, all from the beginning, when you mentioned your abuse, your what happened to you in your childhood. Look at our conversation have escalated. You now are pointing out different aspects of your life that can contribute to your anxiety,
Yeah.
to your phobias, because your relationship with your dads are not
The best.
the best. And you got sexually assaulted, which led you on a path almost to destruction.
Yeah.
And with your illness, what you have done, you have developed a blockage, like you put up this wall that persons won't come in. So, and you are saying that this is it. You don't understand. People don't understand. And you know what? I am not I'm not a therapist, but just by listening to your conversation, I can kind of like summarize that what it is that for you, Brittany, you are a very strong will young woman, and you're very strong, and you think you can do this. I can do this. I can do it on my own. I can make it. The reason why I really kind of relate to you is because I kind of have that same thinking that I can do it all by myself. I can just do it. You get me? So, but at the end of the day, Brittany, we do need people.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm starting to
You
learn that.
understand?
Yeah.
And we
you
do need help.
Mhm.
If we cannot make it on our own, yes, God is there, but He also placed people in our lives to help
For a
us
reason.
for a reason.
Yeah.
So, what my 1-2 advice is kind of like take Abigail's step, like get professional help and see how best that will help you, and speak your mind. If you're going to be closed off, no one would hear your voice. So you need to start speaking and speak your mind. Abigail, girl, I can applaud you.
Thank you.
I can really applaud
I've
you
grown a lot.
for really taking the steps for what all that you've been through. I have one final question, and I don't even know if I want to ask, but I'm going to go ahead and ask it still because I think you have answered it in our discussion where you talked about your friends. You really talked about your friends and how important your friends are throughout your situation, throughout your battles, and what exactly is their take on it. You have mentioned that your friend Abigail was the one who really pushed you to really seek help.
Yeah.
And you have mentioned that your friends are the only one you think really listens to you. So what is your take? What your friends, what kind of advice do your friends share with you?
I have a lot of friend groups. I know a lot of people all over from different walks of life. But there's this one friendship group that I'm really close with, always with, and then there's just one person in the friendship group that's just my best friend. I love her to death. And that's Jazara. Jazara, I love her. she she was my first friend after everything happened to me with that whole sexual assault and losing the person that was my best friend.
Right.
And I remember I gave her a rough time though we just started being friends. A rough time. It was really hard to really open up to her because I was so scared that something like that would happen to me again. And I know in the midst of all me being so scared, I know I kind of hurt her in a sense of just completely shutting her out. Like how I used to literally say, my mind is closed off right now. Like I am not speaking anymore. I would always do that, and I know it hurt her, but she didn't give up on me, and she continued to work with me. She made sure to give me the space until I felt comfortable enough to open up about things like that, and I did eventually. And when she saw me going through manic episodes and all my mental health stuff, she was the one to say, Abigail, okay, it's time you need to get help. She used to come with me after work to have a tree and sit down with me and buy me food to make sure that I eat something. And she lived in Spanish Town. We were in Kingston. And she would stay there until 9, 10 o'clock. She don't care what time she going home. She wants to make sure that I eat. And things like that, having friends like that, having a person like that in your life to really be there as your backbone is really important. And I used to think that I could do it on my own.
Yep.
I used to think, I don't need nobody on my side. You just need me. But I realized when she came into my life, and then all the rest of my other friends slowly came in, I realized that having that one person that you can just get a hug and you can just fully drop your mask, drop the curtains, and just let yourself be and cry it out, it really,
Does a lot.
really does a lot more than people think it actually does. It really helps. It really does.
My friends, I mean, as I said, they don't really have much to say, but my friends are more doers than talkers. So sometimes my friend would be at the doctor's with me, or they want to see physical documentation of what the test results say. Or there's this time when I had a really big argument with my dad, and it went physical, and I was actually on the phone call with like two of my closest friends, and like they basically saw how the whole thing played out. And so like I think eventually the phone they cut off, but like they called back to see if I'm okay. And at a point my father was basically telling me to come out the house, and they called my other friend that was like, she lived down the road from me. So she came for me and she dropped me to the other girl's place so that I could just clear my head, and then we prayed together and stuff. And even her mom also has a huge impact in my life. Like she's like my second mom. She's the other person that could say that she truly sits down and listens and gives wholesome advice. But yeah, my friends are really the doers. I think even the same day another friend did pull up, but they never come inside because they didn't want to intervene. But like later down in life, they would always try and be around me and make sure that I don't feel left out. They would, they're the type of friends to be like, I'm going out to this event, you're coming, because I have this thing where I don't like to be alone. I personally, how some people are like introverts? I'm an ambivert. So sometimes I need to like recharge, but other times I can't stand the four walls in my room. I really can't stand it. So they would be like, Bree, just come. And that's what they are. That's what they do. And I love them for it, God knows.
Ladies, I just want to Thank you so much for sharing your stories. As I said before, you're a very strong, resilient young woman. And Abigail, just take my 2 cents. Girl, you are absolutely gorgeous.
Thank you.
Okay, so don't even bother think it
Thank you.
again ever.
Facts.
Okay,
Facts enough.
all right. And Brittany, put on the wall.
Yeah.
All right, put down
them
those
down.
walls and just know that you're awesome and you can do all things. Guys, help is available. Please call 876-633-7433 for more information. And with that being said, we'll be right back after this short break. And that's it for us today. Join us next week as we tackle another interesting topic. Now, guys, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Real Talk Jamaica and to like and subscribe our YouTube channel. So, until then, good night.